Hello, I am Vijay, and in this video I will show you how I created a simple MCP server to perform mathematical operations. So I can quickly give a demo. So this is something we are going to build. So uh, just for your information, if you don't know, in a Postman there is a support for MCP, so you can switch from HTTP to MCP and enter the server URL that you will be going to create. And so this will, in my case, it's API running on localhost 8080/API/MCP, and I can click on connect, so it will connect and load all the tools that are available on the server. So this is something which I have created. So but if you create more tools, it will list down here, and you can select any one of them and just perform operation using it. So I can quick demo, and like if you see, it populated and prepared this payload that you need to send to the server. And if I hit on run, it will perform this operation on the, or give this input to the server, and server will perform and return the result of it. So it is the result, like 12 plus 15 is 27.0. And so to show you like how I created, so for that, first of all, I created a simple Spring Boot application with no controller, just the main method. And in the as part of the Spring, I only have the web starter and just that's the dependencies. And for building or creating the MCP server on this Spring application using the HTTP streamable transport layer. So for that, I added this to the core dependency and the MCP Spring MVC that will help us to implement or start the server as using the HTTP streamable API. So you can found this dependency by going to the MCP website and go to SDK, select Java, and if you scroll down, if you click to this Java MCP server, it will redirect to this website Java MCP server, and by default it will open this MCP server. So first go to the MCP overview, and you can found those dependency here. So this is the core dependency that you need to add, and you can pick, like if you are using Spring Web Flux for building the streamable HTTP client or a server, you can use this one. But in this video I'm using a Spring Boot application, so I will be using the MCP Spring MVC dependency, and it supports both of them, like streamable HTTP and the SSE, but we will be going to use the streamable. And then you also need to add the dependency management. If you are using POM or if you are using Gradle, then you just need to implement the platform dependency. So it is something like the bill of material which help us to resolve the dependencies. And then scroll up and go back to this Java MCP server, and most of the thing you can found here, like how to create a sync server, that is I have done. So let me show you on in my code itself. So first of all, I created this MCP config file, and I as part of this video we are going to create a streamable server. So I created a bean for web MVC streamable server transport provider. That is a part of the model context or the dependency that we added here, this one. And once you do that, then you need to expose this transport as an uh, endpoint. So if you see, like here we have configured that we want the endpoint will be API/MCP, but how Spring knows? So like usually if you know, in Spring we create REST controller, and there is another way is to router function. So here we are returning a router function bean that uses this transport provider that we have created here. So we just injecting this transport provider and returning the function by calling the get router function. So the Spring will register it as an endpoint, so we can call it as a, or connect to it using this endpoint. And then we have exposure transport, but we still need to create the server, and for that we need to create a bean for MCP sync server. And here I'm injecting the server capabilities, so it's just a configuration. So like what features you want to enable for this particular MCP server that you are going to create. So I'm just scrolling I want tools to be enabled, and I have keeping the resource and the prompts to false, yes, I don't want them, and also adding logging so I can see the calls that we are performing using the postman, or even the if you have connected it with LLM, so you can see which tools are being called. And then we need the tools specification, so that is something we need to pass, like the list of tools that you have going to implement. So there is two ways, like either you can use where args or just pass it as a list. So here I am injecting all tools specification implementation available in my Spring Boot application. So for this, actually we need to create the bean. So if I go to this tool configurations, I have created a bean for MCP uh, tool is sync tool specification, and I'm returning it as a bean. So first I added this schema, so I found copied it from their website, so you can found it here. And this is, you can use this one as well, but it's deprecated. So we should use the builder pattern as part of the latest code. So I'm using this builder pattern and passing the tool information. So like it is basic calculator, and name is calculator. And then we need to implement like how this tool actually perform, or the actual logic of this tool. So whenever LLM, or if you're calling it directly using a postman, how it will perform that operation. So here I'm getting the argument, so that is something I will get this 3 as an input. So I'm just parsing it as a double and performing the operation whatever we get as part of this operation input. So just perform basic math and returning, and if none of this operation matches, I'm just throwing illegal state exception. And here I'm creating an instance of call tool result and return, um, adding the result as a string. But you can also pass list of content, and then there is a second parameter that is whether it is an error or successful message, so you can just pass false. So I think that's all for this, and you can run it. So I think it's already running for my case. So yeah, that's all for this video, and I will share the code for this uh, MCP in the video description, so you can found it there. And if you have any question, please comment on the video. And yeah, thank you for watching.